Hi, friends. This is The Sit Down, and I'm here with the wonderful actor Christopher Jackson, star of the upcoming Netflix series When They See Us.
Yes.
Good morning, friend.
Good morning.
Look at
Good
you
morning,
looking all
everybody.
dapper.
Why you gonna be here, man? Show up like, like I have no home training.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Come on.
Fair enough. Okay, so let's get into this. When They See Us is the story of Central Park 5. I'm so excited for people to see the miniseries, learn from it, and have conversations. How familiar were you with this going into the project?
I grew up in Southern Illinois.
Okay.
I got to New York in '93. And so when this was all taking place, I'm, chasing baseballs around and trying to, memorize monologues, to be honest with you. The national conversation about it, it was abbreviated. We didn't have 24-hour news cycles. So Tom Brokaw would give it, a brief rundown of it. But it felt as if it was a very localized kind of story.
Kind of story at the time.
And so we just didn't, have an opportunity to... I didn't have an opportunity to really dig in. And then by the time I got here, Giuliani was in office.
Okay.
And so it was
a new era by
then. New era.
Yeah.
It was a whole different thing, which was a real abrupt kind of awakening for me to be in this environment, to be in New York City at 17 and looking around.
Right.
And yet leery of that part of the city.
Rightfully so.
Yes,
Rightfully
absolutely.
so. And it's still, unfortunately, a contemporary affair.
Indeed.
So you play lawyer Peter Rivera, who represented Raymond Santana Jr., one of the Central Park 5. Were you able to, see any documents? What were you able to do in terms of research to get ready for this?
So I was shooting Bull at the time.
Okay.
And Ava's team put together an exhaustive packet of information, so that we really had an opportunity to deep dive. I didn't have a chance to meet Mr. Rivera, but Ava gave me plenty to chew on, and given the constraints, she was in my ear constantly. Because as an actor, you want to get in there and be a tool. You want to be the tool of the director,
of her vision,
who's painting this picture. And fortunately, it was sort of she just guided me where I needed to go.
That's really wonderful to have that relationship. What surprised you about the cases as you were working on the project and learning about it?
The depths that the justice system will go when politics are the sole driving force. There were 6 victims that day, and none of them woke up thinking that their lives were going to irrevocably change that day. Patricia Miley, who was brutally attacked and left for dead, and these 4 children who were the subject of a machine that was overwhelming, and they got caught up in that. And to me, the resounding impression was that it reminds us of how far we are willing to let ourselves go to not care about someone else. The parents of these children, I have a 14-year-old son at home. I have a 9-year-old daughter. The idea that at any point they could be objectified and then disposed of is the thing that it sticks with me today, and it serves to remind me every day that it's not enough to care about my kids. It's not enough for me to care about your children. I have to care about every child that I see to an extent that I can protect them as a member of society and as a citizen. I think that we as a society failed these young men in a tremendous way and continue to do that. Khalif Browder, the list goes on and on and on of young men and women who, especially men and women of color, who are caught up in this thing that's greater than they are.
Yeah. That was something I was thinking about this morning. There have been days when I've come in to do the show, and, obviously it's a Twitter show, and I'm just looking at the timeline, and I start seeing a video of another black person, young man, young woman, being brutalized by police. Just going about my business, and then I have to go do my job. Right. And so I wanted to ask you about the experience of telling this story, that lights up so many of those emotional, hot points for us, while it's also going on around us in real time. Was that something that kind of charged the experience at all?
Oh, absolutely. When we shot the scene where those young men were sentenced, or where the verdicts were read, none of us walked out of the room the same way that we walked in. I got to after a 12-hour day, and I got to my car in the parking lot, and I cried for 20 minutes. I couldn't shake the idea that I was somehow not doing something. I wasn't doing enough. We all knew where the day was going. Right. But the experience of it, as an actor, you you hope that you get to have moving moments like that. You hope that you have moments that affect you and that last and that stick to your bones. And so you find yourself at a protest. You find yourself being more conscious of the world around you and being more conscious of having conversations, not because you're trying to be right or you're looking for some sort of confirmation, but that you just want to know more, that you want to feel more, and then you hopefully will be inspired to do more when the opportunity presents itself.
Absolutely. I got to see, the images of the premiere in Harlem, just the whole community.
Apollo Theater, man.
Apollo Theater.
It's fantastic.
It was really wonderful. And I understand you got to meet Raymond Santana Jr. there. What was that moment like?
Heavy and beautiful. Watching the 5 young men and then seeing their real life counterparts standing behind them and then in front of them was really, really beautiful. I think that the lasting sort of tribute to everything that they've gone through is that they have somehow found a way to share their story over and over and over again through advocacy, through just making themselves available. It's obviously an important thing, but the amount of process, the amount of forgiveness, the amount of healing, and that's still ongoing, that they have allowed themselves to put their story out there, the end of their childhood, the tragic end of their childhoods, and the torturous existence that they've lived up until this point. It's wonderful to see that there's justice and that that you can come back from that. Although I'm sure that's not something that they'll ever truly heal completely from. But Youssef has 10 children. You know what I mean? And devotes his life to helping people become aware of how far it can go, and essentially what we're trying to do with this story. What they're able to do is nothing short of a miracle, and nothing short of the very definition of courage and of growth.
It is miraculous. You've gotten to work, obviously, with some pretty amazing people. Ava DuVernay on this miniseries. You originated the role of George Washington. I got to see you, in Lin-Manuel's Hamilton. And so I wanted to ask you, and I know you and Lin-Manuel are pretty close. Developed, a really strong relationship. What's a side of Lin that you've gotten to see, or something about him that we might not know? And which is tricky because he's pretty open. He shares a lot of himself.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like he's about.
What does he keep away?
Oh my God, I don't know. He's scared to cross the street. Maybe a little bit. But there was a time that he was screaming. Lin is somebody that I admire, obviously, and I'm a little jealous of him.
That's healthy.
Being real. I adore him. I don't see faults with this dude. For someone who has been on a rocket ship now for several years, he's held it together. I admire his sense of parenting. He loves his kids.
He does.
You can tell a lot about a person by how they love their kids. And he loves his wife and he loves his family and somehow manages to keep it all together and be creative and stay in that creative space. And, for the longest time, I saw since In the Heights, I kind of saw my role.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because you go all the way back.
Yeah, we go back to 2002.
Yeah.
My role is kind of like being his big brother protector. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the guy that will make sure. I've said it before, I'll fight somebody about him. You know what I mean? That's my brother. I just I'm still in awe of what he does. I'm still in awe of how he can be as creative as he is, and yet it not consume him to the point where his humanity is ever in question. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's a soul brother. You know?
He's incredibly, when I see him in person, he's incredibly happy for someone doing everything that he's doing.
I think that he works really hard to make sure everyone around him is happy. You know, I mean, there's the giving, his giving nature. I think that he's most comfortable when everyone else is comfortable.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, there are worse things that,
I agree.
Guilty of.
I absolutely agree. Yeah. Well, Chris, I'm so happy for you and the family. All of that's happening. It's all good stuff. Good. I'm excited for everyone to see this next side of you in this miniseries.
There might be a wig. I'm just saying.
No.
I saved the scoop for you.
I was about to. They put you.
I'm just saying.
Is it a good wig?
Isn't every wig a good wig?
No, every wig is not a good wig.
Of course it is.
Okay,
it's fabulous.
I'm
Are you
sure.
kidding me?
Do you miss it?
No. It was
hot.
It was hot.
Okay.
Yeah, we were in September. And it was warm.
I did
but
not see that coming. You really did save a bomb at the end.
You are really unfortunate.
I'm so excited. Guys, you can see When They See Us on Netflix on Friday, May 31st. Up next, Isaac and I are going to read more of your tweets. Oh my goodness, a win!